Sorry, we've been kind of quiet on this channel lately. Whenever you don't see a video from us for a week or two, it usually means we're working on a much larger, much longer video that's just taking a little bit longer to get out. So that's just how it is. We are not the kind of people that can just spit them out. But I did want to say something really quick because I saw this and I'm getting so absolutely fed up with the way things are going. Because I don't think people realize that, while they're talking about China's social credit score system, the infrastructure for such a system is being put in here as we speak. Actually, it's being put in all over the place. And I have some reports coming up about that. So I'm not going to go in depth about it. I'm just saying we've all been conditioned through this technology to already accept such a system. That's what dopamine-driven social validation feedback loops do. It gets people hooked on a system of likes and hearts and I gotta get more likes on my next meme and stuff like that.
We have created tools that are ripping apart the social fabric of how society works.
It's total Pavlovian conditioning with basically the ding of a bell. But we're starting to see these Silicon Valley corporations become so entrenched that if you have a low ranking or something you do on there is considered bad, you're kicked off. And I'm not just talking about the censorship on YouTube. That's just one aspect where obviously dissident thoughts are being punished by deplatforming people. I'm talking about other things, like they've now approved life insurance companies to raise people's premiums based upon their social media posts. Earlier this year, it was announced that Uber was going to start banning people who had low ratings because the system is set up that the riders can rate their drivers, but the drivers can also rate the rider.
Uber's global community guidelines were created with those same common values in mind.
There's standards to make your experience with Uber feel respectful, inclusive, and safe.
So if you take Uber and you're having a bad day, you're going to get a low rating. Have enough bad days, you won't be able to take Uber anymore. So you better hope you have an alternative form of transportation because your social credit with Uber will be null and void and they'll just kick you out. Same with Airbnb. If you get low enough ratings on there, they will kick you off of Airbnb and they won't tell you why. That's the other thing. They don't have to tell you because this is pure corporatocracy. This is an extrajudicial situation. They can kick you off for whatever reason they've deemed, and then you're done, and there's no appeal, and you don't even get to find out why. So these social credit rankings that we're slowly seeing get moved in here and there on various platforms are starting to have real-world consequences and effects. And this is something that is spreading out all over the world over. So it's not just going to be America, but we are definitely on the path to having a very similar system put in here. It's being done very gradually, but it's the same thing. What really burns me about it, besides the fact that it's just incredibly unfair as far as fairness even goes, is the people who run these companies and the behaviors that they are engaged in. Some of these people are the last people on earth who should be allowed to determine other people's social credit ranking or score or whatever, okay? The last people. And they're going to obviously be outside of such a system. But they should not be the ones being allowed to institute it. What do I mean by that? Back in 1999, Stanley Kubrick came out with a film, Eyes Wide Shut. And that was a pretty shocking film, I think, for most people who saw it. At the time, I don't think a lot of people were aware that people in high positions of authority and power behaved in those kinds of ways. I don't even think that kind of behavior crossed the average person's mind. Of course, I was a teenager when that movie came out, so I didn't even have the research background to understand it when I saw it. It was pretty shocking, but I didn't get it. So it's been 20 years now since that movie came out, and we are now to a point in society where the concepts in that movie have become normalized and just accepted. And that's just the way it is, to the point that last year an article came out in Vanity Fair discussing how Silicon Valley's elite, powerful elite men who are running these corporations in Silicon Valley that are affecting everything from the way that we as a society communicate with each other to the way that we transact and do business, they're participating in these massive orgy parties on so normalized that in this article in Vanity Fair that talks about this, the shock and outrage is not, hey, these really powerful people that are running things are behaving in these ways. That's fine. It's, hey, it's kind of sexist the way they're doing things because, the women feel pressured to participate, and that's really unfair to the women. So it's not shock and outrage that it's going on, or that this is the way these people who are running things essentially behave. The new ruling class of the Bilderberg elite, Silicon Valley. No, that's fine. It's just that it's not fair to the women because it's not taking into account the fact that they don't want to behave that way. It's just kind of mind-blowing. So I went and read this lady's book because she interviewed a bunch of people in Silicon Valley for this book, including a lot of people who participate in these kinds of behaviors. And she talks about how, there's a strip club there. It's right down the street from the Yelp headquarters. So what is Yelp? Yelp is a company that if your social ratings on Yelp aren't very good as a business, you're going to get your business hurt by that. The people who run Yelp use this strip club down the street, which she interviewed some of the girls that work there. Apparently you can pay for full sex in the back, or pretty much whatever you want, sounds like. They use that as an extra conference room. That's how often they're there. Okay? Meanwhile, their platform can hurt your business. This is the point I'm trying to make. So she's interviewing people for this book, and this one lady who tried to be an entrepreneur out there, she talked about how if you don't participate in an orgy, you get relegated to the uncool kids table. She says rather than finding it odd that she would attend a sex party, this entrepreneur said that people would be confused about her not attending. The fact that you don't go is weird. So, Eyes Wide Shut is the norm. Here's another passage. This is a strange place that has created incredible things in the world and therefore attracts these types of people and enables these types of people. How could it be anything but weird and dramatic and people on the edge testing everything? If you thought like everyone else, you can't invent the future. So those are the people that are inventing society's future. Here's another one. They don't see themselves as predatory, of course. When they look in the mirror, they see individuals setting a new paradigm of behavior by pushing the boundaries of social mores and values. What's making this possible is the same progressiveness and open-mindedness that allowed us to be creative and disruptive about our ideas. Founder X told her. It's like all these people in this book are anonymous. Not the point. The point is it's accepted that they all go to these weird weekend orgies and cuddle puddles. They call them cuddle puddles, which just... ugh. I mean... ugh. Okay? But these are the people that are running the companies that are going to be determining the social credit of everyone else. And they are morally bankrupt. Do you see the point that I'm trying to make? And that's just normalized and institutionalized in the way it is. Do you need any further proof that we're living in the upside down? So when people go to YouTube and the number 2 trending video is a video about glorifying Lucifer, I mean, is it really that much of a surprise? I don't think people realize that the fabric of society isn't just being frayed, it's being torn apart. I just don't think people realize how quickly this is happening.
We have created tools that are ripping apart the social fabric of how society works. That is truly where we are.
We live in the upside down.